welcome to the Edge of Your Seat Thrillers program with our Q&A. We have three of our filmmakers with us today. My name is Brian Shelton. I'll be your host throughout this Q&A session. Gentlemen, you want to say hello real quick?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
The interesting times we live in where we do these things over Zoom, right? And so we all get to talk over each other and move along. But we'll make it work, right? So just going to go around the Zoom block here real quick and ask you just to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and the name of your film, and maybe just a really quick, like 2 or 3 sentence pitch for your film and what it's about. We'll start with you, Andy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Andy Compton. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and my film is Tin Box. It's basically about a homeless addict who sees an opportunity to break into a random house to maybe loot or whatever. And when he gets in there, he stumbles upon a terrible secret that there is a man locked behind a door who is pleading with him to get out. And he has to try to help him get out.
Great, thanks. All right, Harry.
My name is Harry Locke IV, originally from Chicago, but now based out of Los Angeles, and I am the director for The Redeemer. The Redeemer is a Western thriller that features a newly minted deputy and a vengeful Comanche widow who team up to go after the outlaw that left them both for dead.
Okay, and Niels.
So, hello, I'm Niels Benz. I'm the director of Kaifala, and it's kind of a thriller movie that tells about a young archaeologist who is in a mission on Kaifala Island, and she finds out about some archaeological discovery, and that could provoke some war in this Middle East. And my English is not that good actually, but I'm trying my best right now. I'm getting used to it.
You sound good.
You're doing great.
You sound great. My French is
anyway, for now it's
better off this one.
Wow.
Hey, Niels, since you were just there, I just wanted to say that watching your film, and I rewatched it again this weekend. I mean this in the most complimentary way. This film looks really expensive. So I was wondering if you could talk about both the budget and look for the film and how you achieved that in a short feature.
Well, it's pretty funny. We made it with my brother, who was in charge of the production, and we totally self-produced it. Actually, we didn't have any subventions from anyone, and I think the entire budget was maybe 40,000 euros entire. So yeah, it was kind of a big bet. You know, we just went with 15 people on the Canary Islands in Fuerteventura, and we basically made a movie there, you know, and it was just out of anything, like out of any system. Yeah. So it looks expensive, but actually for normal short movie, you know, it was pretty. It looks expensive, but it wasn't that expensive compared to other movies, I guess. You know.
Okay, great. How about you, Harry? You've got a Western going on there that has a lot of moving parts and animals and such. How was that from a financial perspective?
We got really lucky, and actually the location where we shot was a property owned by our lead actors. It was a relative within his family. And she has this ranch-style home up in Sonora, California, which is about 45 minutes east from like the Yosemite area. And he grew up in that area, so his parents actually own horses, and they were just excited to have us up there shooting. And so we basically shot the entire film in this 40-acre backyard, which was amazing because you just turned the camera around in all these different locations, and it looks like they're having a whole adventure through the West, and it's really just kind of one location that we really just maximize to give it that much more epic feel.
That's great. And how about you, Andy? Your piece kind of takes place in what I might call found spaces, if you will. How did that work out?
Yeah, so actually my project was for school. It was for a project at Webster, and we made it for about, I think I spent in the end $500 of my money. And a lot of our equipment was from our school. We have like a program, they have a bunch of rental equipment. And then the house that we used was just the house of the lead actor, who's just a good buddy of mine. We actually do like improv comedy and stuff in St. Louis together. So yeah, it was like really small scale. I didn't even anticipate it getting into festivals. So this has been a really cool, interesting ride. So yeah, I'm stoked.
It's always great when people will let you use their house or property or something like that to shoot your short film, because that's one of the big concerns, right? Like where are we going to shoot
Right.
this?
And it's so funny actually, because he has 4 roommates. It's a 3-story big place, and they all, you know, with 5 people they can pay together, 4 people. And I don't think they anticipated a film being made there being what it was, that their entire kitchen would be just loaded with gear.
Right.
And just people running all over the place. I think we had like a 15-person crew. So by day, it took 4 days, and by day 4, they were very ready for us to leave. So, but in the end, it's pretty cool, and they all said it's really cool. So.
Yeah, I used to let a lot of students make films in my house when they needed a location, until a big horror film was shot at my place, and
that was the end of that.
That was the end of that. There's only so much fake blood you can clean up out of your house before. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's fun. So I wanted to kind of go around the room here and ask. We talking about locations. We talking about budget, but wanted to ask the question of each of you: did anything go wrong during the production? Like really wrong? Was there anything like horrible that happened during the production of your film? Because so often when we're making shorts, you know, things just come up unplanned, and we're understaffed and under budgeted, and crap happens.
I guess I'll start just randomly saying the amount of ADR and reshoots that we did. I think we did. There's a scene. There's an ADR scene. I don't want to say too much about it, but we ended up doing the same ADR scene over 4 different days, spaced apart a couple months each, just because we kept not liking the one we got before. We were like, we can do it better. We can do it better.
Right.
And reshoots, we did a ton of reshoots just because the early edits we were showing to my class were like, we don't know what's going on. This doesn't make sense. And then we were all spitballing ideas. This was really an effort that the brainstorming process goes to like 60 people, because among 3 different classes, film classes, we were watching and critiquing this project throughout the semester. And sometimes I just get brilliant ideas from, you know, a random person who had nothing to do with the film, and I would use it. So I should have probably thrown them in the credits somewhere. But,
Special thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, like, with just doing that, take that idea, go home, okay, we're going to plan a reshoot. This is how we're going to make that make sense. And, you know, just things like that. So I guess in the grand scheme of shooting for 4 days straight and then realizing, oh my God, this thing doesn't work at all, that was a pretty big catastrophe. I mean, there was some other stuff along the way, of course, but just throw that out there.
I think that happens a lot more, especially with student productions, than people imagine. You write a script, you shoot the film, and you think, oh yeah, this totally works. This totally makes sense. And then you get into an editing suite and start showing it to people, and they're like, what the heck is going on here? I have no idea what's happening. Yep. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
How about you, Harry? Anything happened in your production?
I mean, probably the biggest thing we had to deal with, obviously, it being mostly exteriors, was all dealing with the weather. We were shooting during the winter months in California, which in the northern area surprisingly gets very cold. There was, you know, snow in the mountaintops, rain, you know, and our actors, we joked it was kind of like a mini The Revenant type shoot, you know, because we were all out there, you know, in these very cold temperatures, and, you know, you see them, you know, performing that way, but it's real. Like, you know, it's half acting, but it's also like actually dealing with the elements. But at the end of the day, that those different elements actually, I feel like, gave the film, you know, its character. It actually kind of plays a role with the story. And also kind of on that line of locations, you know, the script originally called for, there's a scene that happens in a church, and we had a hard time of trying to find a church location that worked out where we were at in Sonora without having to do a major company move. So what we actually ended up doing was building the interior of that church in the garage of the house we were shooting at, you know, so, or of the ranch. So again, it was kind of just maximizing the locations, kind of seeing what the troubles were, and then just finding a way to make that a strength as opposed to a negative.
Okay. Niels, you were in the desert. How did that play into the
But actually, weirdly enough, I don't have so much to say because nothing really went wrong. The only really thing the bad thing I remember is that two of the main actors actually lost their flight from Paris, and it was like horrible, you know, because you wake up at 6 a.m. and basically they call you from the airport saying we have lost the flight, so what should we do? And at that point I was like, you know, desperate, like really, I didn't know what to do. But so we had to spend more money to buy another flight from Paris, and it was like horrible. But except from that, you know, everything more or less went pretty good actually, except the guy who was supposed to bring us some, you know, like explosives in order to explode, because in the movie there's a car that explodes in the middle of the desert. I don't know if you remember. And the guy was actually coming from Barcelona, Spain, and he actually wanted to take the explosive in the plane with him, you know.
Oh my God.
Like, man, don't do that. You know, they're gonna arrest you. There's gonna be big problems. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And in the end, he accepted not to do it, and you know, we brought it from the boat. I think we made like something in the boat. I don't remember, but yeah, basically. Basically that was it. The rest of it was fine.
Did the climate, the environment where you were shooting play a role in the film? Do you think that the realism of that helped?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's called Fuerteventura, and basically it means strong wind, you know. So of course, like, but it was okay. It was part of the identity of the movie, I guess. So we could play with it with no problem.
Great. Andy, your film, Tin Box, it's got many of the elements that are commonly found in horror films, if I can call it a horror film. But it's got this twist at the end that really gets the audience. And I was just curious what the inspiration was for this. Is there a personal connection to the material?
Yeah, there is. So, I mean, the movie, obviously, the fact that he's a drug addict and he's kind of lost everything to begin the film, specifically using opiates. It kind of hits close to home. I've had, obviously a lot of America is in an opiate crisis, and I've had friends who have lost their lives to it. You know, I've had friends who have family members who've lost their lives. So I think that it's something that so many people, I mean, America and the whole world have been touched by in one way or another, I would assume. So yeah, that was kind of the motivation. And putting it in a horror context, I don't know, just my weird brain. But yeah, it was that was definitely the motivation behind it. And yeah, I just wanted to make a commentary on it, I guess, because I had just in the past 2 years lost two friends who kind of grew up for most of my 20s with, and I guess this is just the story that wanted to come out.
Yeah, I wish like a Hitchcock or a Shyamalan style, twist in the end where we don't really know what's happening, and I felt that way when I watched your film. So.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Harry, so I'm watching your film and I'm totally jelly because I grew up on Westerns. I grew up watching Westerns with my father. I show Westerns to my students and they of course hate me for it, but that's all right. And then I show them Japanese Westerns and they hate me even more, but I'm is that something that you always wanted to do, was to work on a Western? Because that's a tough thing to go after. There's a lot of issues. There's costumes, animals, the locations, all that, which we've talked about a little bit before, but I'm just curious, is that something that you wanted, or you wanted to do, or the material
for a very long time? For a very, very long time. My favorite film of all time is probably Tombstone. And I remember being maybe like 8 or 9 years old, and we had just gotten cable. And so we had just gotten HBO. And that was like the first movie that I remember seeing. I just plopped down in front of there. And there was something about just the way the world worked, the way they talked, the way the characters kind of interacted, that really kind of drew me to that environment. And for a long time I've talked with a bunch of my filmmaker friends where we're like, man, I would love to do a Western. I would love to really kind of play within that space. And our lead actor in the film, Robbie Allen, he's a huge fan of the Lone Ranger. And we've worked on several projects before this, and he kept telling me, like, as a side, he's like, you know, you should really look at like what could be done with like that character of the Lone Ranger, because there's a lot of interesting mythos, some of the actual real history with that character, and some of the stories and things you can kind of play within it. And as I started researching it, I kind of got excited again about, you know, going back and doing a Western, but also finding a way of making it different, you know, finding a way of kind of embracing the inclusivity that we're really doing now with contemporary films. And I wanted to spin a couple of those tropes on their head. You know, usually when you see the bad guy outlaw, he's this big burly guy with a mustache. And I'm like, well, how much cooler would it be if this is a woman instead, who is just really having fun, soaking it up, being the outlaw. And we got super lucky when we did the auditions. We found Stephanie Estes, and from the moment she was reading the lines, you know, we all kind of looked at each other like, yeah, like that's our character. She just really had fun playing the bad guy / girl. You know, she's like, those kind of roles don't come around a lot, and you could tell she really kind of brought a lot of energy to that. And same with our Native American role. We went out and we wanted to find a true indigenous character to really show that representation, right? And we got Shia Luna, who did an awesome job playing Moon, who's kind of our spin on the Tonto character. Because if you remember Tonto and Lone Ranger, he kind of just follows Lone Ranger around for like no reason. You know, I would watch the show and I'm like, wait, so why is this guy like sticking his neck out for this guy? They have like no connection, you know? So we kind of wanted to give that character its her own journey. And that's the neat thing I think about the film is our lead actor, Robbie Allen, who plays Jackson, he's got his story. Our villain, she's got her story. And Comanche, character played by Shia Luna, also has her own story. And it's kind of everybody gets their time to shine as you see how these stories interweave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. And great job with the representation in the film too.
Thank you.
I mean, you go back and look at the old Westerns and you see who's playing the parts and you're like, oh, geez.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm sure no one thought of it at the time, right? But
right,
now,
yeah.
My students always get a kick out of that. So
absolutely.
Niels, I'm always cautious to compare anyone's film to another film or to another filmmaker, but I remember watching your film and thinking about 3 different pieces. I was thinking about the Jason Bourne series. I was thinking about the movie Syriana with George Clooney, and I was thinking about Indiana Jones. I was thinking about all 3 of those things together when I was watching your film.
Yeah.
What's that? Sorry?
No, well, the Born Trilogy, I remember I really liked it when I was young, and of course, actually, to be honest, the movie was thought as black humor comedy, dark humor comedy at the beginning. You know, it was supposed to be comical, and it ended up being a terrible drama. So actually, yeah, it's nothing to do with the original intentions, but still. You know, I'm still happy with the movie. It has something that it's in me, but yeah. I didn't have any like intentions to copy something that I liked. You know, it was inspired by actually a true story, and that was really fun to hear. And but I ended up making some kind of drama that was totally the opposite that I wanted to do at the beginning. But anyway.
Well, can you talk about that a little bit? How do you go from what you thought was going to be a dark comedy to being a drama? How did that happen? That happened in the writing process, or did it happen on screen?
I think we were maybe afraid of telling the true story, because the true story was pretty polemical, you know, and it was dealing with religion and with the Middle East, and maybe we were kind of afraid to make it like as fun, you know, and after in the process, I guess I just you know, I got driven by the actors, and they were like acting it as very dramatical, you know. So in the movie you still have some things that are still like comical and you know, a bit dark humor and etc. But in general, like, we had a big problem in the editing room because there weren't any like coherence, continuity between the, you know, the comical part and the dramatical part. So yeah, but anyway, I'll do better the next time, I guess. I don't know.
No, the films
Yeah.
like that. I'm going to go back and look for the comedy edge in it this time. I have to watch it another time. It's always,
Yeah. It's not easy to see it, but anyway. Yeah.
well. So speaking of next time, Niels, we can start with you. What is next? What's the plan? Are we doing another short? Are we doing commercials? We doing a
Well,
feature? What's up?
yeah. That's the big question, no, for everyone, I guess. No, the next step is trying to make something out of this movie. Actually, maybe try to sell it to some channel in France or maybe in a foreign country. I don't know. That would be the idealistic option. And for the rest, yeah, I'm trying to make another movie now, with subventions. Because in France we have this big opportunity to make movies with public subventions. So I'm trying to see how to get it, and maybe going to some commercial production companies, but it's the way is pretty long in order to achieve. Anyway, but he'll do it, I guess.
I believe in you. All right, Harry, how about you?
So this film was a proof of concept, for a larger feature. We were very lucky to collaborate with so Alan Azoulay, who's one of the producers on the film, along with my wife Fama, who's also from Paris, by the way. So I should have, she could have talked to Nils. But
Yeah.
we worked with his company, the Azoulay Film Fund, to get this financed with some Chinese financiers, and this was kind of a trial run for them to, basically see if they liked the story, see that we knew how to make a movie, and see that we were capable of putting a vision together and, not running off with their money and disappearing into the night, And, the film has, it's playing in this festival, it's played in a handful of other festivals, and they've been very, very pleased to see, their investment, making the rounds, and it's, it's a lot of people are enjoying the film. So now we are talking about those next steps of, let's get the feature rolling. And of course, things slowed down a little bit this year with the pandemic kind of just throwing a unexpected wrench, in a lot of plans. And now we're going to, hopefully start moving again next year, getting the gears going and getting this feature version of The Redeemer made.
That's great. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, I think if COVID would not have happened, I would have probably already shot my next short. It's already written and ready to go. It's called Ethan and Edna, and it's actually more of a dramedy. Weirdly, I'm a dramedy writer. I've written a few features, and they're all in the dramedy space, and that's what I do. So this one-off thriller is just kind of out of nowhere, but I'm still really proud of it, But yeah, it stars Larry Clawden, who was the star of Tin Box, and it's actually, the rest of the cast is people in their 60s. And that's been like, on a student set. There's student sets happening right now during COVID, being safe. But just the nature of my cast for this one, I'm kind of like, I can't guarantee safety for anyone. And it's just better to wait it out. So right now we're kind of in limbo and just waiting. But I'm just doing a ton of writing outside of that, and just entering a lot of contests in the screenwriting space, and just kind of waiting for the world to get back to a little bit of normalcy.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're all in that situation, trying to figure out how to make productions work. I'm going to be live multicam directing a play in the spring, and so the actors are all going to be 9 feet away from each other on stage, no audience in the auditorium, and then robotic cameras to shoot everything. It's going to be, yeah. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's just weird how we have to change everything around. Right?
It's a brave new frontier, It's a whole new era.
Mm-hmm.
So I should have asked this question before, but I just want to ask it, and this is my last question, and we can wrap up. But particularly for students and for young cinematography students and directors in particular, what did you folks shoot on for each of your films? Because that's something that students ask a lot of times when they're watching short films. They're kind of curious of how it was shot and what it was shot with.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot on, for The Redeemer, it was Red Weapon, 8K, with, I believe it was Zeiss Super Primes. I want to say that's what it was.
Okay.
For Tin Box, we shot on, I have a Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And then I have Rokinon Cine DS lenses, I believe they're called. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
How about you, Niels?
I'm very bad at all the technologic part, but yeah, it was an Alexa. It was Alexa. I don't know if it was the mini Alexa or the other
Mini
one,
Alexa,
but
yeah.
it was Alexa.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing. Just one camera.
It's pretty amazing how the technology for cameras has developed so quickly in the last 10 years and allows us to get a pretty high quality image
Yeah,
out of a
Oh,
much
yeah.
smaller format. So it's pretty great. Anything else you want to tell the audience who's going to see your films? Anybody? Want to start with you, Andy?
I hope you like it.
Yeah.
I hope you. No, really, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy all the films. I'm really excited to see your guys' films now that I've kind of heard about them.
Same to you guys.
Yeah.
Same.
And I just really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this. So thank you.
Great. How about you, Harry? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of want to echo what Andy said. Hope you enjoy the film. Hope it, kind of awakens that age-old spirit, you have for Westerns that you would watch as a kid and kind of embrace this new spirit. And if you're interested in following the journey for the feature-length version, theredeemerfilm.com is our main website, and we'll be updating that, as this adventure continues.
Okay. And how about you, Niels?
Well, the same. I don't know what to add, but yeah, I hope that they'll, laugh when you need to laugh and not cry, but anyway, that they'll understand the movie and the intentions and etc. But yeah, thank you very much for being part of it.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for joining us today for this short Q&A so that our audience gets an idea of what the films are about and what the filmmaking process is about. And I wish you the best of luck on your future films, and take care, okay?
Thank you so much.
So much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Mhm.
Bye.
See ya.
All right.